Is my voice clear to you all?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, your screen share is.
Yeah, my screen sharing is on, but yeah, now it's on. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
It is the first screen, artificial intelligence basics and applications. Is it
Yes.
visible now?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. It is
So
visible.
yeah, so let it be like this only. I'm not doing full screen because I may refer to the previous and next slides from the leftmost corner. So is it now visible clearly?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you, madam, once again for nice introduction. Let me move ahead with this. Today's my topic is artificial intelligence basics and applications in engineering and technology. So yeah, let me go next. So as madam also introduced me, I like this quote very much. If you really want to achieve something, the whole universe conspires to help you in achieving it. Good quote by Paulo Coelho. Now let's start before beginning to the theory and all aspects of AI. Let's play a small simple game, which is AI based game. We all have must have played during our childhood, knots and crosses. Madam, are the screens visible properly?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So let's start with this game first. There are two players. One is the machine, which is playing based on artificial intelligence program, and one is human being. So let's start the game. I am highly intelligent. Let's play knots and crosses. So machine is cross. Machine is taking the cross and taking the move first. So machine is taking the first move, which is cross in the corner. So move one is go in the corner. The for machine, for artificial intelligent programmer, the move is decided program to move, and it will move according to the program only, and human being can play according to his or her wish, kind of. So now it's my turn. Being a human being, I have put 0 over here. So now the next turn is of machine. So what is the move to? Move to is, if the other player did not go in the corner, then go in the opposite corner to move one, else go in a free corner. So machine is reading this particular, seeing this particular information, and has taken the step that it has to put cross over here. So now next is my turn. I have put the cross. I have put my knot over here, and the third move the machine has to move. It is, if there are two crosses and a space in a line, then go in that space. Else, if there are two knots and a space in a line, then go in that space. Else, go in the corner. Red one indicates the new move of the machine, which is based on this, because it has seen that there are no two crosses in the line, but there are two knots in the line. So it has to put its cross in the line where two knots are there. So machine has put over here. So this is the move 3 from machine side. Now based on that, because I have seen the crossover here, so I decided, being a human being, I decided that let the machine should not win, and I have put my knot over here. So now next move will be machine's move. So what machine has done? Machine will read the instruction. If there are two crosses in a space, in a line, then go in that space. And it has found that there were two crosses over here, and so it has put cross over here. So what is the conclusion? The If this would not have happened, then if we have gone for move 5 also. So the conclusion is that though I am so trained player of this particular game, whatever may be my achievements in this particular game, either the match will go draw or AI will win. In no case I will win. So this is the conclusion. This is the beauty of AI. We also play many times. What happens? We win the game. Many times we lost the game. But if we are playing with AI, because so looking at thousands of plays or thousands of instructions, The program has been made, and the program is made in such a way that either AI will win, or if the opposite player is strong enough, the match will go draw. So this is the beauty of AI. Just to introduce you like what is AI and why we should go for AI, I just explained this particular game. I hope you must have enjoyed this particular game. Now let's move further. We have to learn now new ABCD. Conventional ABCD was A for apple, B for ball, C for cat, and D for dog. But now it is a new era, and we have to go with new ABCD. A stands for artificial intelligence, B stands for blockchain technology, C stands for cyber security, or maybe cloud computing you can say, and D stands for data science. So we do not have options. We have to go with AI and data science, and in between there are many technologies. So now A for apple and D for dog will not work. We have to go with new ABCD. Let's go with the basics of AI. What is AI basically? As Soni sir has also explained a little bit about this, AI is an attempt of machines to emulate human intelligence. As it is in the name only, AI, artificial intelligence. So it is intelligence, but artificial. And let me tell you one thing, though artificial intelligence is so superior, but human being is more superior. Nobody can replace the innovation of God. Man is a supercomputer, man is a super person in the world. But who is designing this AI? It is we only. So it is up to our intelligence that how strongly we design artificial intelligence. So this work started in about 1950. The exact year is 1943. McCulloch and Pitts, they were the two scientists who worked on, who developed the first artificial neural network model. So work was started in 1950 and had a setback as artificial intelligence winter in 80s. Got a breakthrough in 2012, and here we are today with artificial intelligence, that is AI, as a buzzword. So moving further to next slide, let me just take you the components of this AI. We call AI, but what is this AI components? So as far as we see the applications, image recognition, speech recognition, chat box, natural language generation, and sentiment analysis, these are the major application areas of AI. And we have seen in many like malls also where face recognition is done, and many robots are also working. What are the types of models which are used in artificial intelligence? Types of models used are deep learning, machine learning, and neural networks. So we'll see these words because now only we listen what is deep learning. This is the era of deep learning. Everybody is saying that AI सीखना है, deep learning सीखना है, machine learning सीखना है. But let me tell you very frankly, here machine means computer. So wherever the word machine will come, it is assumed that it is computer. And what are the software and hardware used for training and running models? These are GPUs, parallel processing tools like Spark, cloud data storage, and compute platforms. And programming languages for building models are Python, TensorFlow, Java, and C. We use MATLAB also. We use MATLAB toolbox for artificial neural networks development kind of thing. And C programming, during our PhD time, we used to use MATLAB and C programming. But now there is a language called Python. I think we should go for this particular language because it has many innovations and many developments to build the AI systems. Now moving further, like as we are calling that, and my talk is on artificial intelligence basics. So let me just state few words: artificial intelligence, deep learning, machine learning, data science, and then one of the components we have seen neural networks and artificial neural networks. So whenever we talk about artificial intelligence, or whenever we talk about deep learning, machine learning, data science, we have to have knowledge of neural networks and artificial neural networks. Whichever way, few persons they refer neural networks, few books they have written, they have referred artificial neural networks. So whichever terminologies, but even if it is neural network, we are referring it to artificial neural network. So in my view, this is the most basic component or most basic model of artificial neural networks. So first we will go with the basics of these neural networks and artificial neural networks. What is it basically? So in this introduction of this particular talk ahead, we will be seeing the neuron, which is basic. We must have studied in biology also, in maybe in 8th standard, 9th standard, or maybe in 12th standard. Whoever has taken biology, they must have studied nervous system. So we have seen that neuron is the basic unit of nervous system. So neuron, we will see how this neuron is made compatible with electronic circuit and what is the analogy between electronics and neurons. So I hope the gathering is of BTech students, MTech students, maybe engineering students, and maybe there may be other participants also. So I think all of must be having little bit knowledge of electronics, isn't it? Maybe most of the students, BTech students, they may be having some electronics background because they must be studying in first year basic electronics. So they will understand it little better. Then we'll see the concepts and applications of neural network. So moving further to next slide. Let me just take you through the brief just to understand that how the artificial neural network or how the artificial intelligence is related to the biological neuron network. So basically this neuron, the structure of the neuron shows that there are dendrites. I am also not that too good in biology, but because we have to develop, we have to understand artificial neural networks, we must have this understanding of how our biological neural network works. So if we talk about neuron has dendrites. This part is dendrite. So dendrites accept the signal. So like in our electronic circuits, inputs are there. So input devices accepts the signals. So here dendrites accept the signals, and then it is processed through this cell body, and then it is passed to the other network, to other neurons via this axon. So this is how our neural network works, and there are billions of neurons in our brain. If you see, there is a complete net of neurons, and they don't connect. They are not connected to each other physically or through the wire. They are connected to the other neurons via this synapse. You can see this synapse. This is an open thing, but these are chemical neurotransmitters. So neurons are connected with each other via this synapses, and there are trillions of synapses in our brain. So how this how the analogy is, like suppose if we say and we make it an analogy to the electronic circuit, then these are the input devices which are accepting the inputs. These are the output devices which are moving out the output to the to further network, and in between we can see this particular line. What is this particular line? This is an axon, and which is showing us the myelin sheath, which these are Schwann cells, and you can see this type of structure, this type of grooves, which is called as node of Ranvier. So what is basically this myelin sheath is doing? Myelin sheath is the insulation, because as we say that there are so many neurons in our brain, and if the information is passed, if the information has to process, then if all neurons are jumbled up, then there will be a short circuit, so the information will not move. Madam, is it even if I'm not doing slideshow, is it okay? Because I may have to use the previous slides also, so I think this will help me out.
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Yeah. So we were talking about this. So dendrites are picking up the signals, and these are myelin sheath. As we see that in our electrical circuit also, we do not keep the wires open. We have like red color insulation over the copper wire, or maybe some black color insulation. So similarly, myelin sheath is doing the same job. What myelin sheath is doing? Myelin sheath is insulating the this particular neuron with other neurons, so that even if there are billions and trillions of neurons, they are safe because of this myelin sheath. And if there are communication students, engineering, electronic and communication students, they can understand the role of this node of Ranvier. What is basically node of Ranvier is doing? Node of Ranvier is working as a repeater. So what is the job of the repeater? The job of the repeater is to transmit the signal from one end to the other end without attenuation. So this is also the work is done by, here in biological neural network, the work is done by node of Ranvier. So I have done I have tried to make the analogy, because we are now going to see that we have to implement this particular concept in our artificial neural networks. So we should have some input devices, some input nodes which will accept the input. We should have some output nodes. We should have some processing in between that. So how we will do this in artificial neural networks? So if I try to build this particular model, this particular neuron model in artificial form for our applications, then all these dendrites, which are input devices, they are represented by these input nodes, and axon, which is our output device, is represented over here. So if you have single output, then this may be single output node. If you have multiple outputs, then this can be multiple nodes. So with this, it makes one layer, input nodes and output nodes. But here we apply the input and here we take the output. But suppose if your application is so complex that with these input nodes and only output nodes with one layer, if you are not able to get your output, then you have to introduce few layers in between. So these are called hidden layers. So basically, when we implement artificial neural networks, it is basically depend upon our application, that how simple is our application and how difficult is our application. So based on that, we go on adding the hidden layers in between. Now, instead of inputs, if you see, I have written over here attributes, and instead of output over here, I have written here classes. So why this is so? This is so because inputs can be attributes, like suppose if you are working on weather detection, whether the rain will be there or not, etc., then my attributes will be temperature, pressure, humidity kind of things. So this can be simple voltage, current, or maybe simple data like 1.5, 2.5 kind of thing. This kind of inputs will be there, or this can be called as attributes. And in classes, either there will be yes or no, there will be 1 or 0, or there may be some output kind of thing, like suppose if you want to, if you are processing that whether rain is there or rain is not there, then it may be rain is there or it may be rain is not there. So whichever way we have just labeled the inputs as attributes, and we have just labeled the outputs as classes. So this is when we build our neural network, artificial neural network, we have tried to make the analogy with this particular neuron, and we have tried to model dendrites over here, we have tried to model axon over here, and the complete this processing unit is over here. And you have seen this particular line, the line of connection, which is called the strength of the neural network. As in case of this biological neural network, as I have already explained you, that this particular is connected, this is called as synaptic connection, and these are neurotransmitter, these are chemically connected, this is not physically connected, but it depends upon how your bonding is strong, connection is strong. If the connection is strong, the learning of the network is better. So in developing this artificial neural network, this wire is showing, this line is showing, this wire is showing the strength of the connection. So as we go on further developing the neural networks, we will call the strength of this wire as weight, W-E-I-G-H-T, weight. So henceforth, whenever there will be a word weight tells you that it is the strength of the wire. There's a strength of this particular connection. So as you also know that the teacher teaches to the whole class of 60 students, maybe 100 students, maybe 120 students. The teacher is teaching the same content, delivering the same content, but some of the students, they understand it fast, some of the students, they understand it late, and some of the students, they take some time. They, if they go on repetitive study, then they will understand it. So similarly here also, it depends upon the training of the understanding, the learning of this network depends upon the strength. Why this happens? Even if the teacher is teaching to the whole class the same contents, still one or two, maybe one or two students, they top the class, and the rest all, they get different marks. The question paper, the delivery is done to the done same to all, but still there are few students who becomes topper, and there are few students who remains like average kind of thing. So why this happens? This happens because their learning of their neural network is strong enough, whoever is understanding it fast. So there, these connections, these synaptic connections, or the learning of the network, biological neural network is strong. And if we want to design the strong artificial neural network, then what we have to do, we have to make the strength of this particular wire, that is weight, should be appropriate. The value of weight should be such that the learning of this neural network is perfect. So now next we will see what are these things and how we go about it. So formally, if you see the definition of neural networks or understanding of neural networks, then neural network is constructed of neurons, as we have seen, which fire. When we talk about electronic circuits, we use the word trigger, and somewhere we use the word on, but in case of neurons we use the word fire. So fire means it is activating the neuron. So neural network is constructed of neurons which fire when at least some minimum number of its inputs are active. This basic idea was inspired by how people thought the human brain worked. So I have already told in beginning that 1943, in 1943, there were two scientists, Warren McCulloch and Walter Pitts. They have worked on simple neural network model. So when we define the neural network, the definition is the neural network is a parallel distributed information processing structure consisting of processing elements interconnected via unidirectional signal channels called connections. So when we see this particular slide with this, these are unidirectional, that the flow is always from this place to this place. It is not coming back. There is no bidirectional flow. Always it goes, the signal goes from this place via this connection, it goes to here, it goes here, it goes here. There is no backward flow. At least physically, there is no backward connection. So moving further, let us understand that how this what is the importance of this neural networks, how we can understand this neural network. Basically, if we can understand a simple model, then we may understand the complex model. We may be able to design the complex model. And I assure you that if you understood this model effectively, the simple model effectively, and if I will tell you the steps to design the complex model, after this very class, after this very presentation, you will surely be able to design the neural network for your application. So let us understand this simple network which McCulloch Pitts have given in 1943. So how this network look like? This network is, these are our inputs which are shown over here, these red nodes. So here we have denoted this as I1, I2, I3, I4. If there are 4 nodes, then 4 inputs are there, I1, I2, I3, I4. And if there are 4 nodes and 1 output, then naturally there will be 4 connections from input 1 to output, from input 2 to output, from input 3 to output, and from input 4 to output. put. So these connections, they are having weights. As I told you that the strength of this connection is denoted by weight, W-E-I-G-H-T. So if it goes from I1 to output, it is called as W1, the weight is W1. If it goes from I2 to output, the weight is called as W2. If it, just to understand, just not to get confused that which is which weight. So W1 stands the weight between input 1 and output. And because we are looking at simple neural network, we are now not looking at this particular hidden layers. Our job is to understand only the simple input output node neural network. So what is the formula? The formula of this output, and let me tell you very frankly, even if you are not good in mathematics, artificial neural network, the best designing of artificial neural network doesn't need a person to be good in mathematics. Rather, I will say that the one who is not good in mathematics should go for artificial neural networks, because it is a training of the neural network which is important. There is no mathematics involved in the training. So what is the formula? The formula is that when we talk about this x value, it is the summation of this wi ii. That is, suppose if we have two inputs, then it will be I1 W1 plus I2 W2. If we have 4 inputs, then it will be I1 W1, I2 W2 plus I3 W3 plus I4 W4. So this is our output, but not the output which is available at the output end. This is the output which is available at this particular end. So we are now talking about activation function. So what is this activation function? By putting some value of threshold. In some of the cases, it is also called as bias. They denote this as small b, or they denote this as capital T for threshold. So both the words are same. So here we have denoted this as maybe k. The k is the threshold, and we denote some function because we are limiting it. So you must have studied in basic mathematics, we called as limit. Why we do this? Because there can be output can be in the form of 5.3, maybe 12 point something kind of thing, maybe any output, it will be maybe exponential output kind of thing. But if we want to define the boundaries, if we want to define the two levels, then we should go for the threshold. So and we should go for the and how this output should appear, we should go for that for the activation function. So let me take a simple function which tells that my output, which is s, should be 1. If it is 1, when my this value is greater than or equal to threshold value. Threshold is the value which I have decided, and my otherwise, if it is less than the threshold value, my output will be 0. So one output is there, and there can be only two possibilities for this particular output. Either it will be 1 or it will be 0. So for 1, we have defined the condition like this, and for 0, we have defined the condition that this value is less than threshold value. And of course, threshold is a constant value. So I think this basic structure of neural network, this is given by McCulloch-Pitts, and there is one limitation which we will see this. Let me tell about the activation function in short, so that the further explanation will become little easy. So threshold function, suppose if I keep my function as hard limit function. What is hard limit function? Hard limit function looks like this. So this denotes that x was my calculated output, I1 W1 plus I2 W2 kind of thing. So if this value is positive, then I will limit my s to 1 as denoted here. So whatever may be my output value positive, my s, the final output will be plus 1. And if my value is negative, I1 W1 plus I2 W2, if this value is negative, or if this value is 0, then my output will be 0. So by putting this particular function, which is called as hard limit function at threshold, for threshold function, we have limited our outputs to two stages, either 1 or 0. And if I talk about signum function, if I keep my function as transfer function or threshold function as signum function, then signum function looks like this. So if your calculated output, that is I1 W1 plus I2 W2, if these values are all positive, then S will be limited to +1 like this. And if all the values, if the calculated value is negative, then we refer to this as -1. So here also, here we have defined two levels, 1 and 0. This is also binary. And here we have defined two levels. This is also binary. The levels are +1 and -1. So these are just two simple functions which I have explained. There are other functions also, like when you go for the complex neural network design, you may not be ending up with this particular functions handling and handlings of symmetric handling type of transfer function. You may have to go for some complex functions also. So let me talk about this Maculop-Pitts neuron model, which was the first neural network, very simple neural network, and we will see the limitations also of this particular neuron model. So Maculop-Pitts, these two scientists, they have given it in 1943, and there are two binary states, 0 and 1 only. It is not accepting any other inputs other than 0 and 1, and it is binary activated. The input neurons are connected by direct weighted path, excitatory or inhibitory. Let me explain you this, but this is actually biological terms, excitatory and inhibitory. But from English itself, you can understand that excitatory means something with something to do with the excitation, and inhibition means something to suppress. Something if you suppress, we call this as inhibition. So if we talk about these two terms in case of neuron models, suppose if now I'm explaining the things, and suppose if I'm delivering the lecture in the class, and all the students, they are listening to my talk, and if there are no other disturbances, only my talk is there, the students will listen to my talk. So this is the excitatory input for them. But suppose if simultaneously some audio is played somewhere, some loudspeaker is going on, some songs are going on somewhere, some function is there, so the teacher is teaching in the class, and that signal is also there. Maybe that signal is little louder one compared to the signal which is played at the loudspeaker at some distant end, but still that signal is there. And suppose if that particular signal is interfering in your understanding, that means if it is disturbing your concentration, then this inhibitory signal is not appropriate signal for better learning, because you are not efficiently making use of excitatory signal. But suppose if there are audio plays, and there are some plays, but still I am busy with my whatever teacher is teaching it to us, and these signals, whatever song or whatever is coming from loudspeaker, this is falling on my ear, but it is not making any difference to me. It is not harming my concentration. So this type of signals which are present, but which are not contributing to the disturbance in my understanding, so such type of signals are called as inhibitory signals. So when we work with neural network also in our brain also, and when we talk about artificial neural networks also, we may happen to come across with this excitatory and inhibitory input signals. And that's why, because excitatory signals are important, these are positive weights, and inhibitory signals which are not important, these are negative weights. And neuron is associated with the threshold value. So this is all about like the basic understanding of Maculop neural model. Now, to understand further, as I told you that Maculop-Pitts neuron model, outputs can be only binary. So output can either be 0 or either 1. Threshold can be any integer. The T can be any integer. Weights W1, W2, or whatever, because we have only two levels of inputs, weights can be W1, W2, how many, whichever number of weights are there, but always the value of weights can be either it will be positive one or it will be negative one. And inputs can also only be 0 or 1. So I think all of us must have studied OR gate. All of us must be understanding OR gate. Maybe you must have studied in first year of your engineering, or maybe in 12th standard. So how OR gate works, we all know that when both the inputs are 0, 0, the output is 1. When the inputs are 0, 1, the output is 1. When the inputs are 1, 0, then the output is 1. And when both the inputs are 1, 1, then also the output is 1. So our purpose is not to design the artificial neural network for OR gate. Our purpose is to understand that how the neural network basically works. How you define the values of weights, what is the role of this threshold, how you are applying the inputs, and how you are calculating the output. Just to understand this, we are just taking the example of OR gate. So OR gate, let's move further with this. Now we have kept threshold as 1. This is just one example I have taken, that I have to define the threshold. And as I have told you that there is no mathematics involved in artificial neural networks. So there is no such formula which will tell you that how to calculate the value of W1 and how to calculate the value of W2. Nothing kind of thing. It is just a trial and error. You have to initially randomly assign the values of weights. It is up to you that what values you assign, and then slowly you will train your network and you will fix up the values of weights for which you are getting the desired output. So to understand the functioning of this OR gate, we will keep the values of W1 as 1 and W2 as 1. Let me tell you once again that there is no such formula. I have taken it randomly. W1 as 1 and W2 as 1. And threshold I have kept as 1. Now I have to see, when I see this particular network, here if I talk about OR gate, then there can be only two inputs, I1 and I2. So either it may be 0, 0, or it may be 0, 1, or it may be 1, 0, or it may be 1, 1. And there may be only one output. So if there are only two inputs, then there are only two weights, W1 and W2. So what is my formula for calculating the output X? I1 W1 plus I2 W2. So if I put here 0, first set of my inputs to OR gate 0 and 0, and whatever weight I have assigned 1, 1, and if I calculate the value, 0 into 1 will give me 0, plus 0 into 1 will give me 0. So 0 plus 0 is 0. Now this is, what is my threshold? My threshold is 1. So 0 is less than threshold. So according to my condition, if it is less than threshold value, my output S should be 0. So when I see my truth table of OR gate, for 0, 0 inputs, the output is 0. So this condition is true. So that means this indicates me that value of W1 and W2 is, I have taken whatever values I have assigned over here are absolutely right. Then I will go with the next set of inputs. What is my next set of inputs? 0 and 1. So this 0 will be multiplied with W1. The next input I2 will be multiplied with 1. So 0 plus 1 will give me 1. And now this is equal to the threshold value. So if it is equal to the threshold value, then what should be my output? My output should be 1. So if I look at OR gate truth table, if my inputs are 0, 1, then output is 1. This is also true. That this again has ensured me that W1 and W2 values and whatever target value I have assigned is absolutely right. Then I will go with the next set of inputs, 1 and 0. So 1 multiplied by 1, 0 multiplied by 1 will give me 1 plus 0, that is 1. Again it is equal to threshold value. So this condition is also true. My output is 1 for 1 and 0 inputs. Then last set of inputs. Oh, I have just mistaken over here. This is 1 over here. 1 into 1 and 1 into 1. So 1 plus 1 is 2. So if it is 2, and if we compare with the threshold 1, then 2 is greater than 1. So this condition is also true. So whatever, just to, because here I'm having limited time, I cannot, if I take the different values of W1, W2, if I take W1 and W2 as -1, then with this particular threshold, I may not end up with OR gate designing. Then I have to change my value of W2. But here, just to save the time, initially only I have taken the proper values of weight. But when you are training your network, whatever values I have told already, I have discussed this, that we do not have such mathematical formula which will give me the calculated values for W1 and W2. I have to first randomly assign the values of W's, and here, luck by, I have decided the values of W1 and W2, which are such that my truth table of OR gate is satisfying. Now, suppose if I talk about the same network which is for OR gate, if it has to work for AND gate, then structure of my neuron model is not going to change, because in AND gate also you have two inputs, I1, I2, either it can be 0, 0, it can be 0, 1, or it can be 1, 0, it can be 1, 1. And similarly here also we will have two values of W1 and W2, and we will have the threshold, we will have the output. So as far as structure, physical structure of neuron model is considered, OR gate and AND gate, there is no such difference. But then what is that value, or what is that parameter which is differentiating these two networks which are absolutely looking similar as OR gate and AND gate? It depends on the values of weights. So if we take the same values of threshold and same values of W1, W2, the same network will work as OR gate. But to work the same network as AND gate, I have to modify the values of W1 or W2, or the value of threshold, or maybe I may vary all the three parameters. I may change one parameter, I may change any two parameters, but somehow I have to achieve the truth table of AND gate. So this is how the beauty of this particular neural network. Simplicity. Again, I am telling you that our goal is not to design the neural network to understand OR gate or AND gate. Our main purpose is to understand that how the neural network is working. What is the significance of W1, W2? How this is calculated? What is the significance of this threshold? What is the activation function? Just to understand these terminologies, we have gone for the simple neural network, which is given by McCulloch-Pitts. But you all know that there are limitations. What limitations we can say? Now, if we talk about representing this particular network, it is called single layer, because we have not taken any hidden layers in between. There are only input nodes and there are only output nodes and threshold values there. So this is called a single layer artificial neural networks, which look like this. Now, what is the limitation of this particular McCulloch-Pitts model, which has been given in 1943 by McCulloch and Pitts scientists? The limitations are only you are using the binary inputs 0 and 1, and you are having output in terms of binary value, either it will be 0 and 1, and the threshold is any integer value. And weights of W's are also either +1 or -1. But if you try to apply this particular neural network to solve the real world problems, then this will not work, because it is not possible for you to always have binary inputs, and it is also not possible to always have binary output. So if we have to work with real world data, then McCulloch-Pitts neural model will not work. We have to accept the real world inputs, and we have to deliver the real world output. And again, we have talked about OR gate and AND gate. Maybe for NOR gate also it will work, for NAND gate also it will work, but it will not work for XOR problem. Why it will not work for XOR problem? I think many of you must be knowing what is XOR. So just when we talk about OR gate and AND gate, if we say the boundaries, suppose if I have plotted this, what were my 4 inputs sets? 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1. So for 0, 0, if I talk about OR gate, the output was 0. For 0, 1, the output was 1. For 1, 0, the output was 1. And for 1, 1, the output was 1. So for this, the output was 1. For this, the output was 1. And for this, the output was 1. So if I just put a boundary over here, just put a linear line over here, then I can make the boundary which will tell me that this is OR gate, because this class is different and this class is different. So whatever data will fall in this will be having output 1. Whatever data will fall here will have the output as 0. So just by one single line, I have differentiated, I have made the boundary for OR gate. If I talk about AND gate, then we all know the truth table of AND gate. If my inputs are 1, 1, then only the output is 1. If either of my input is 0, then the output is 0. So for AND gate also it is very easy for me to draw a boundary. So by drawing this line, I am just making 2 classes. This particular class of inputs will give me output as 0 for AND gate, and this particular class will give me output as 1. So for AND gate also it was very easy for me to draw a boundary, and for OR gate also it was very easy for me to draw a boundary. But if I talk about XOR gate, then you know that for XOR, if both the inputs are different, then the output is 1. And if both the inputs are similar, then the output is 0. So for this also the output is 0, and for this also the output is 0. For this the output is 1 in case of XOR, and for this the output is 1 in case of XOR. So it is very easy for me to cluster this, to group this particular 2 inputs. But for this the output is 0, for this the output is 0. To make the group of these 2 inputs, I cannot draw a single straight line. I have to draw 2 straight lines which will differentiate this from this. Or else I have to take a curved boundary which will form the group of these 2. So with Maculloch-Pitts model, designing of XOR gate with single layer is not possible. So this is the limitation, and that's why the developments of neural networks has taken the speed that time, and then they have moved further to go for complex designing of the neural networks, because Maculloch-Pitts model was not sufficient to solve all the real world problems. So we'll see, because we were unable to solve the problem of XOR with single layer, what we have done, we have to go with multi-layer artificial neural networks. So in between input and output nodes, we are introducing more layers. We are making the network complex. But my purpose of making the network complex, or our purpose of making the network complex, is that because for set inputs, we were not able to get the desired output. So to reach to the desired output, we had to introduce few layers in between, and hence we have to go with multi-layer artificial neural networks. And now today's era, this is a matter of deep learning also. So just to make just to go further, like what are the terminologies, how to train this particular network, because in case of OR gate it was very easy because there were only 4 sets of inputs. This diagram I have taken from MATLAB. When we open the MATLAB, we see this type of structure. So suppose if we talk about OR gate or AND gate, etc., then there are 2 inputs and there is 1 output, and we have 1 output layer. if you go with the MATLAB programming, the MATLAB asks us whether how many hidden nodes you want to have, how many input nodes you want to have, kind of thing. So if our problem is complex, then only we are introducing hidden layers. If our problem is not complex, then don't go for hidden layers, because unnecessarily it is adding the complexity, making it difficult. So what are the layers? Input layer, output layer, and hidden layer if we introduce some hidden nodes in between. And what are the two phases of algorithms, or in referred in case of artificial neural networks? We call this as training and testing phase. So we have to train the network and we have to test the network. Now what is basically this training is? Suppose if we talk about a child of 2 years old, if you make her learn that this is table, if you show her a table, then the child will understand that this is table. If you show her a pencil, the child will understand that this is a pencil. If you show her a notebook, the child will understand that it is notebook. So you have trained the child with now three things, either the table, the pencil, and notebook. But if you ask some other component, let's say if you show the child eraser, then she will not be able to answer. Why? Because you have not trained the neural network of child with sufficient amount of inputs or with proper categories of inputs. You are training the child with table, pencil, and notebook, but you are asking eraser, so which is beyond his learning abilities. So there are like these are the things important in artificial neural networks also. You have to have proper training, proper testing also of the neural network. So if we talk about the neural network training, we categorize this training as supervised learning. Maybe it can be training also, supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning. And how this is achieved, how supervised learning is used for training the networks, there are different algorithms. The scientist, whoever has designed this particular algorithm, is named after that particular scientist. So we will see briefly also that also. So let me just take you to like what is this supervised training, supervised learning, or what is this unsupervised learning kind of thing. So here there are, it is explained that the neural network can be trained either in supervised manner or in unsupervised manner, or maybe in reinforcement kind of manner. So what is basically this? This is a scientific, or this is a formal understanding, formal definition, we can say, or formal statement of supervised training. What it is telling: requires the pairing of each input vector with a target vector representing the desired output. That means supervised, as the English says, as supervision. Supervision means the training is happening under supervision. So that means there is somebody to tell you that your output is not proper. It means you have the known output. To when you are training the network, you know that for this particular input sets, the output is this. So if you know the output, this training comes under supervised training. But if you do not know the output and you are training the network, then this comes under unsupervised kind of thing, training. And reinforcement training is either the combination of supervised or unsupervised, or it can be simply supervised, or it can be simply unsupervised. So how it tells you, there is no target. The network is presented with an indication of whether the output is right or wrong. That means you do not give the proper quantitative analysis, quantitative statement for the output. You only tell whether the output is right or wrong, with which it will improve its performance. So just to make you understand that just to make you understand basic meaning of this supervised training or learning of the network. Supervised means, suppose if I am teaching in a class of 60 students, and suppose if you are happening, if any student is having doubt, he or she may interrupt me and ask me his or her query, and I will solve his or her query. So this learning or this training is happening in supervised manner, that the student has not understand whatever I'm delivering, so he or she has asked me and I have replied it. Similarly, with this Zoom platform, if you are unmuted, if you are all are unmuted, and if you are given the permission to ask me your doubts instead of putting in chat box, etc., and if you are communicating with me, and if that during that time I'm answering your query, then this is supervised kind of training. That means this learning is happening under supervision. But suppose if I am listening some audio tape, some lecture audio video I'm going through, where like in case of YouTube also, YouTube videos, etc., we just go on listening, or we just observe. Even if we are having doubts, we do not have the option to get clarify our doubts. This is, we are learning through the YouTube videos, through the audios, through the audio video clips, lectures, but we are learning, but it is not supervised learning. Why? Because we are not having the option to solve our queries. So this type of learning, so if you do not know the targeted output and you are just training the network, then it falls under the category of unsupervised learning. And reinforcement learning or training means, suppose if I have to say that whether the student, if I say that the student has passed the examination, so I have given the output. My output is that whether he is passed or she is passed or failed. So I have just given the output as passed or failed. But saying just passed and failed doesn't tell me that what are his or her percentage, whether it is 40%, whether it is 60%, whether it is 80%. So if this, I know the output, but I do not know the proper quantitative output. So this category of learning or training falls under reinforcement learning. So I think I have tried to make you clear the terminology: supervised training, so learning, also unsupervised, and reinforcement kind of thing. So when I talk about, if you see my slides, you will observe this particular slide often. Why? Because this is the core, or this is the heart of this particular presentation. So when I talk about training, basically what I do training means, I know that for this particular inputs, I should have this particular output. And to achieve that output, I am adjusting the value of threshold and weights. So when initially I have told you that there is no such formula to calculate the values of weights. Initially, you have to put the random values of weights. You have to assign the random values of weights, and then with this with those values, if you are not getting the desired output, then you will go on changing the value of weights, and you will do this till you get the proper output. So for this, only one set of input is not sufficient. You have to have 1,000 sets of inputs. So training of the network basically means adjusting the values of weights. And learning rate of neural network means for how much time it is taking to understand the value of to deliver you the correct output. So it depends upon, the learning rate depends upon the epochs. In MATLAB language, it is called as epochs or iterations. So how many iterations it is taking to reach to the proper output. So we are training the network means directly or indirectly we are calculating the values of weights. But when we see the example of OR gate, because there were only 4 sets of inputs 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0 and 1, 0. So it was very easy to go with the manual calculations of W1 and W2. But if you have thousands of inputs, thousands of sets of inputs, then there will be thousands of values of weights, and thousands of values of weight means there are thousands of combinations of weight values. So it is not possible for us to manually calculate the values of weights. So that's why we go with C programming, or we go with MATLAB tools, or we go with Python language, where we are not calculating the values of weights manually. Programming is doing the making our job easy. So in short, what is training? Training means updating the values of weights. And as you must have listened in KBC, Amitabh Bachchan tells, lock kar de. So similarly, if you are getting the desired output, you have to lock those weight values. Now, thereafter, you will not change the values of weights. These values are locked, and these are final values of weights. This is the time your training is complete. The neural network is trained properly. So what are the things important? Number of samples. Why number of samples is important? I had given you the example that suppose if I train a 2 years old child with table, notebook and pencil, and if I ask eraser, then he or she may not be able to answer. Why? Because I have not trained her, not trained the child with relevant data. I am asking about eraser, and I have not at all trained with eraser. So how her or his network will get trained, biological network will get trained? Suppose if I train with suppose if I train the child with alphabets A, B, C, D, E, capital alphabets A, B, C, D, and E, and if I ask F, if I show her F, then what she will answer? She will try to answer, because I have not told her that this is F. So what she will do? She will try whatever she has learned about A, B, C, D, E. So she will match this particular, her neural network will try to match this particular alphabet with the trained values A. So it is not matching with A, it is not matching with B, it is not matching with C, it is not matching with D, but little bit it is matching with E. And because I have not trained her for F, so she will answer E, because it is little bit similar to E. So if I have to get the proper correct output and she should answer F, then I should have trained her with F also. My data should have been incorporated F also, this alphabets also. So it is the relevant data which is important to train the network. It is the number of samples. If I train with A, B, C, D, E, and if I ask small A, B, C, D, E, then the child may not be able to understand. Why? Because my number of samples are not sufficient to train the child, to train the network of child. Similarly, in case of artificial neural networks also, number of samples are important. Data should be relevant, and if I train with pen, pencil and ask rubber, it will not work. If I have to ask for pencil, then I have to train the network, artificial neural network or the child's network with all types of pencils. Then only he or she will be able to answer. If you show her, if I train her with HB pencils, 2B pencils and all kind of modern pencils, and if I show the child pen, then he or she will answer it as pencil, because the structure little bit looks like similar to the pencil, but he or she will not understand it as pen. Why? Because you have not trained the network with this particular sample. So these are very, very important aspects when you train the neural network, that your number of samples should be large enough, your data should be relevant, and you should give the proper, your learning rate should be fast. So what happens when you teach the students in class, if your learning rate is too fast, then there can be errors in understanding. Whatever I have taught to the student, if the learning rate is very fast, he or she is listening, understanding it very fast, so there might be some errors in understanding. If learning rate is too slow, then the student will not be able to understand the delivery of my data or my lecture in proper time. So there should be some compromise in learning rate. It should not be too fast. It should not be too slow. So these are the main aspects when we talk about training of the neural network, that you should have more number of samples, you should have relevant samples, and then you can train the network efficiently. Now next comes, we are talking about two phases, training and testing. So if I have the thousand data sets, input data sets, 1000 sets of inputs, then I will be having 1000 sets of output. So what I will do, I will keep 60% data for training and I will keep 40% data for testing. This is not a thumb rule, 60 and 40. It is not that I have mentioned here 60%, 40%. It depends upon your choice. You may keep this 75% for training, 25% for testing, but ideally it works for 60% and 40%. What is the meaning of this? Meaning of this means 60% data for training means you show the network input and you tell the network that for this particular input your output is this, and if the network knows that output is this for this particular input, then it adjusts the values of weights such that for this particular input set you get the desired output. So because you train the network, you show the network the values of inputs also and the values of output also. That means you are making aware the network with the values of output also. So this data is known to network. So you should not test with the same data. Your testing data should be something different. Why we test with different data? Because we have to make sure that our network has trained properly. For training, we have given the known samples, but for testing, we are not showing the output. We know the output, but we don't tell it to the network. So what I will do, I will test my network with this 40% data and I will see whether it is giving me the proper output or not. If it gives me proper output for this particular data, that means my training is completed. My training is done in a proper manner. So how I did this, I have trained my network with 60% data and with remaining 40% data I have tested it. So this is the kind of two phases which we see, testing and training and testing. We have to train the network and we have to test the network, because unless we test the network, we will not come to know whether the training has done properly or not. So now training is done with different values. Training is done with different values, different algorithms. So whatever rules we use for training the network means adjusting the values of weights. And there are various methods which are called as learning rules or which are called as algorithms. So whoever has told us that this is the way you should update the values of weights. This is the formula which I have given, that your weights, if your weights are not proper, then you have to use this particular rule. So whoever has given this particular formula or this particular way, the learning rule is named after his procedure or his name. So Hebbian has given some learning rule that this is the way your network should be trained. This is the formula you should use for updating the values of weights. So this particular learning rule is called as Hebbian learning rule. Perceptron is the way, the procedure where your desired output is given. So there is some other way of calculating the values of weights, reaching to the final values of weights. So this particular learning rule is named as perceptron learning rule. Then there is backpropagation algorithm. As when we have seen the definition of neural networks, we have seen that there is only single unidirectional flow from input to output. There is no wire which is going from output to input, but still we have backpropagation algorithm. Here the beauty of this particular algorithm is, and it is widely used in artificial intelligence or training of artificial neural networks. So backpropagation algorithm, as the name suggests, backpropagation, that means the part of output is fed back to input to correct the error, but without the physical connection from output to input. And there is one more algorithm or one more machine which we call as Boltzmann machine. Maybe if there are mechanical students, they may understand it better. What is Boltzmann machine? Boltzmann concept is that you hit the metal to very high degree temperature, and then you gradually allow to get it cool down. So what happens when you heat it? First, initially you heat it to the high temperature, and then you are keeping it open so that it is losing the temperature in atmosphere and it is becoming cooler and cooler. So we use this concept in artificial neural network also, that initially we assign the high values of weights, because I told you that there is no such formula for assigning the values of weights. Initially you have to assign the values of weights randomly. So there are different ways in backpropagation algorithm. You assign the initial values of weights are assigned to the low values, and then gradually you change the values or you go to the higher values of weights. In Boltzmann machine, initially you assign the values to higher values of weights, and then if these values are not proper, that means if your values output is not proper with this particular high values of weights, then you are gradually decreasing the values of weights. So these are the learning rules. So when we teach the subject artificial neural networks or artificial intelligence, then we teach these rules because these are published in books or these are available in books. But if I am designing some neural network for my application, if I am using some learning rule which is designed by me, I don't want to, let's say, I don't want to use Hebbian learning rule, I don't want to use perceptron learning rule, I don't want to use any of these algorithms. If I design my own algorithm to train the network, then it may be the algorithm with my name or whatever name I will give. So when we study in books, because these are already been designed, these are already been used by the scientist or by the user, so these are available in the books. But it is not compulsory that whatever learning rules or algorithms are available in the text or in the literature or in Google, you should go with that. It is nowhere, you don't have this type of restriction. You can go with your own algorithm to train your It is important when we selection of the network is important. We should know that depending upon our application, how many input nodes should be there, how many output nodes should be there, whether we have to go for hidden layers, whether we have, and if we are using hidden layers, then how many hidden nodes we should use. So this is, if I know my application for which I am designing the network, then I have to decide this input nodes, output nodes, hidden layers, and hidden nodes. So when I talk about conventional neural networks or machine learning, then I have to do this job. But when I talk about deep learning, then may not be the case. Everything you just have to give your input, it will give you output. So this is the beauty of deep learning that we'll see a little next. So I think we have gone through the basics of neural network, the selection of neural network, how many input nodes, how many output nodes, what should be the algorithm, and what is the kind of This is just a brief history or the flow, the development of neural networks. So in 1940s, I told you that in 1943, McLaughlin had given some one basic model. So that was the era which is called as electronic brain. And then in 1952 60s, the perceptron model has come. Then in 1960, Adeline neural networks have been developed, and then I told you that XOR problems, radial basis function networks, etc. They came little later. So because XOR problem was not very easy to solve with one boundary, it was not a problem of one boundary. So in 1970s, people started working the problems which are very similar to the XOR problem kind of thing. And in 1980 to 1990, then multi-layered perceptron or backpropagation algorithm has been evolved. Then thereafter comes support vector machines, and now is the era of deep neural network. This is the era where we are working. So this is the gradual, this is a flow, the developments or evolutions of neural networks. So now when we have seen the example of OR gate or AND gate, we have talked about the values zeros and ones. And maybe if you go with the advanced networks, we may talk about the values maybe 1.3, 2.5, 13.667, etc. But suppose if you have inputs, this type of inputs, if you have, there are different types of, then how will we have thousands of data sets, this type of, then how we will try to train our network. First, we have to do some clustering part. Then how we do the clustering, what we see some common features in some of the data. So here I have seen that the shape is circular. So I have made one cluster which is of this, then I have made this another cluster which is this, and I have made another cluster which is this. So this is just the simple way of putting your data for training to the network. So if you have random inputs, then you may cluster your inputs. The similar patterns of inputs can be grouped together to form one cluster. You can have you can divide your data, input data, into this type of clusters. So we have talked about the artificial neural networks, and now we just briefly understand the terminologies machine learning. I already told you that machine here means computer. There is no other meaning for machine. Machine means computer. So machine learning, whatever we have discussed now was a part of machine learning. Suppose if I take the example, if my input is car, and I have to I'm designing the network which is telling me that I have to describe my input, whether it is car or not. So if I put here input as car, there are only two outputs. Either it is car or it is no car. If I put over here notebook, then it should give me the output no car. If I put here car, then it should give me the output as car. So what I have done when I talk about machine learning or artificial neural networks, I have to do some feature extraction. What is this feature extraction? I have to tell some
Hello.
parameter. I have to extract some parameters of this car.
Madam, am I audible?
Yeah.
Madam, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Madam, due to the lack of the time, can
Yeah,
you
yeah.
complete the session within
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I am about to finish, sir.
or some time?
Yeah, sir, I'm about to finish in 5 minutes, maybe. Is it okay, sir?
Okay, madam. Okay.
Yeah, 5 minutes just. My talk is, I have planned my talk accordingly that within 5 minutes it will get
Okay,
over.
madam, okay.
So when I talk about deep learning, then I just have to put my input, and I just have the output is car or no car. Here I don't have to give any features. It is just the input, and the whole job is done by the network. So this is called as deep learning. So we have tried to understand the meaning of machine learning, artificial neural networks, and artificial intelligence. So just to move further with the applications, I will just state the applications, because I also know that the time is getting over and another speaker is also there, and yet VC Saab is also about to join. So learn to fail, but don't fail to learn. Always keep this in mind. If I talk about some application parts, let briefly go with this. application. Suppose if I have to find out, this is ECG kind of biomedical signal. If I want to tell that this is normal or abnormal, then I have to train my neural network with the sample values of this particular bit. And if I put this particular, I will use the 1000 of data, my ECG data, let's say some other 999% data, and I will train my network to just to tell me that whether this is normal or abnormal. So my output will be either normal or abnormal. So accordingly, with this particular data, I will train my network, I will fix up the values of weights, and I will say whether this is normal or abnormal. So this is the way in biomedical signal processing I can use the application of neural networks. I have just, the slides will be available to you. I have just used this application, artificial neural networks, in bandwidth enhancement for antenna design, optimizing the optimizing and enhancement of bandwidth. So you may, this is a Springer paper published in Wireless Press Communication in 2016. You may go through this paper, which clearly explains the application of artificial neural network in finding out this antenna problem, solving this antenna problem. We can go with the weather forecasting applications, whether we have to tell whether it will rain or not, and our inputs may be temperature, pressure, humidity, etc. For rain, I may keep one output as 1. For no rain, I may keep output as 0, and I will train my neural network based on the inputs. There are few applications also in biology, biotechnology field, whether the cell is cancerous or not. And maybe during this COVID-19, if you have to find out whether the person is having COVID, suffering from coronavirus or not, COVID virus or not, then you have to train the network with thousands of data, and you have to find out find out whether the case is corona or not. So we can have plenty of applications of neural networks in this field. So what is the conclusion? The conclusion is that you have to select the network properly. You have to select the inputs properly. Main is data set, selection of number of input nodes, how many data you are having. The training depends upon that. If you do not have large number of data, then you may not be able to train the network properly. So this is all about the data which matters, data science. With artificial intelligence alone, you cannot go further. You have to go with data science, because you have to have proper data. You have to do monitoring of the data. You have to collect the data. You have to make the data in a proper manner so that it can be used to train the artificial neural networks, or it can be used in artificial intelligence. So in last, failure will never overtake me if my determination to succeed is strong enough. Dear all, no weekend, no holidays for virus. So keep safe, stay at home, but keep learning. Learning should not stop in any case. Thanks. Thank you very much for patiently listening me. I have tried to justify my talk. If you have any questions, or however the moderator decides. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for patiently listening me.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Shall I mute myself, or there will be question answer session, or we have to go with another session? How should I do?
Thank you, ma'am. Your years of research, your depth of understanding of topic, and your ability to present the subject in such an interesting way produced one of the most memorable events in our college history. So with that, we'll go ahead and take some time for questions. Please be sure, press raise hand icon.
Are there questions in chat box?
On your-
You can go through the chat box also if there are some questions.
Sure, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. There is a question from the Facebook. Mr. Ankit, ma'am, he asked about artificial intelligence is creating a lot of impact in day-to-day life. How it is reliable to us more to medical devices used for medical testing. I have a little bit concern about security, reliability data. Can you please brief me about same? Thank you, Ankit.
Yeah, very
Over to
good
you.
question. Excellent question. Rather, it is reliability is the important issue. Ethics. It is called. It comes under ethics. There is no solution to this particular problem. If we talk about the human being also, we can't say about reliability in case of human being also. Similarly, this is the greatest disadvantage of artificial intelligence also, that we cannot predict on reliability, because whatever data we use, based on that only our output will depend. We can train on that particular data only. So reliability is will still be a greater question mark, and I can say that it may be the topic of further research in artificial intelligence area. Good question. I have satisfied your query.
Ma'am, he is on Facebook Live, ma'am, not in the meeting.
Okay.
Another
So I
query
think,
from Ms. Ranu Gorwal.
huh.
Ranu, ma'am, ask your query. Hello. Ranu Gorwal. Yes, sir. You are audible, sir. You can ask your query. Ma'am, there must be some glitch in the network from Ranu,
Yes.
sir. We can take next query. Anyone are there? Yeah, kindly raise your hand if you are having any queries related to the session. Or yeah, there is one query from Miss Chanu. Chanu.
यस सर मैम आई जस्ट वांटेड टू आस्क कि मैम
Yeah.
जो आपने हमें एक्सप्लेन किया है उसके लिए कोई प्लेटफॉर्म कोई ऐप है जिस पे हम उसको इम्प्लीमेंट कर सकते हैं
हाँ, न्यूरल नेटवर्क या आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस, जो न्यूरल नेटवर्क के बारे में आप पूछ रहे
I
थे.
think ma'am she is asking for both the platforms.
Okay, yeah. See, we have in MATLAB we have neural network tools, so you can go with that. In MATLAB, what is there? They have given their own networks and their own algorithms and their own transfer functions. If you want to use that, you can use that. But if you do not want to use that, then you can write your own coding. You can design your own network, and you can work with MATLAB. But suppose if you are working with more deep learning kind of thing, more complex networks, then better to go with Python language. So I will suggest that this is the era of artificial intelligence, and we all should try to learn Python, because previously we used to learn C languages. We used to use C languages, but if you use Python, then many of your work will be solved in smaller instructions and lesser time. So these are the various platforms which you can use for simulation. And for the designing of your hardware, you can go with the embedded systems, or you can go with this FPGA kits also, VLSI kits.
Ma'am, there is a query.
Have I satisfied your query?
And there is a query in chat window from Mr. Kevin, that will the AI take over the future jobs?
See, no, this is we don't have to worry on this aspect, because I have already what I have told. Everybody knows that human being is the super creation of God. Nobody can replace human being. Who is designing artificial intelligence? It is me who is designing artificial intelligence. It is human being which is designing artificial intelligence. Robot is not designed by robot. Robot is designed by human being. So leave this doubt, or leave tension from that AI will take place. This is we all are superior, and we all always be there dominating artificial intelligence. But it is our intelligence which will decide that how good we are making use of artificial intelligence.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other participants having any query? Yeah, ma'am, there is a query from Mr. Tarun Seni. Sir, you are unmuted. You can ask your query. Tarun, sir. there must be some glitch in the network, ma'am.
Yeah, maybe.
Tarun sir. If anyone having any query, ma'am, there is a Vanshika saying want to compare the machine learning and deep learning.
Yeah, machine learning. Machine learning. I think I should. Do I have the option to go to the slides? Maybe my slides are visible.
No, ma'am.
No. Okay.
You have to
Okay,
share
let
it.
it be. I will explain. No, I will explain like that only. Machine learning means whatever I have explained, neural network, etc. It is a part of machine learning. Deep learning means you are not telling the network that these are the features. You directly give the input and you expect the output that I want this output. So for that, the complexity of learning of the network, the designing of the network is different. This is the difference between machine learning and deep learning. In machine learning, you are giving some features, like if I talk about the finding of whether ECG is normal or abnormal, then what I should do, I should give my what I'm doing, I'm giving my inputs as heart rate, QRX complex, height, width, ST segment height, width, etc. So these are the features which I am extracting and giving. I'm doing this job for neural network and I'm training my network and finding out whether the ECG is normal or abnormal. But when we talk about deep learning, then I'm just giving my ECG. I'm not telling whether what is the heart rate, what is the QRX complex, height, etc. Everything is done by neural network or